This story is called Chester the Killer Clown. There was a clown that people thought was a nice guy. But the story you're about to read gives a lot of fun, filled with surprises and horror, making you want to keep reading for hours and hours and not see the story end. So I'll leave it at that, and let the real narrator tell you the rest.
Hello. Some may know me and some may not, but my name is Phil. Some know me as Chester the Clown. I used to work at Little Jack's fun-filled circus before I got fired from some dangerous accident. So what happened was, I was on a unicycle on a thin rope while juggling with chainsaws and accidentally dropped one, making it fall 50 feet down, killing an 8-year girl, slicing through her head like butter. I almost went to jail for a freak accident, but luckily I didn't, but did end up losing my job. When I got home with my clown suit on, my wife Jade came to me, happy to see me, and gave me a kiss on the cheek, while my 11-year-old daughter ran hugging me tightly. Jade looked at me and said,
"So what happened today, Phil? You're never home this early?"
I looked at Jade and then kissed my daughter on the forehead and said to Chelsea, "Could you go to your room for a bit? Daddy has to talk to Mommy." Chelsea gave me a look and whispered,
"Okay, Daddy."
She said that with a sad voice. As she was walking to her room, I looked at Jade, telling her, "Please sit down. I have something to tell you." While she was getting ready to take her seat, I pulled a chair next to her, reaching for her hand. She quickly jerked away and said in a loud voice,
"Phil, just tell me what's going on."
"While I was at work, there was a freak accident. I was juggling a chainsaw on a thin rope when I lost control of the chainsaw. It fell 50 feet down, slicing a little girl's head wide open. She jumped out of her chair, screaming at me to get out. I looked at her while the colors of my face felt like it was draining from a full sink of water into a drain. I froze, staring at her, feeling like I had no color left. She gave me a serious look and screamed at me.
"I said get out, Phil."
I got mad, picked up the table and threw it across the kitchen. With rage running through my mind, I stormed out of the house, not even saying goodbye to Chelsea. That was the last time I ever saw them. 5 years go by. I am now homeless, with nothing but the rage left inside me from that night. While I was sitting on an old damp bench, about to get up and nail ripped a piece of my suit, I sighed and mumbled, "God, how can my life get any worse?" I shouldn't have said that, because a police officer was nearby. As he was running towards me, he was yelling,
"Hey, stop right there!"
I ran into a pile of bushes, hid until he ran past me. When I was looking around to see if he was close by, I found an abandoned cabin across the creek. I noticed some teenagers looking into the windows trying to find a way in. They looked to be around 16 to 17 years old. The girl reminded me of someone I once knew, but I just couldn't think of who it was. The one that looked tough was holding something in his hands, telling the other two,
"Hey, I found a way in. Come on!"
I noticed it was some old newspapers. Thinking to myself, why in the world would he be holding old newspapers? Then my question got answered. The tough boy was laughing, saying,
"Do you guys remember Chester the Clown?"
The other boy said,
"OMG, don't you mean Chester the Killer Clown?"
But before I knew it, my insides were boiling in anger. I thought to myself, they'd want a killer clown. Well, I'll give them a killer clown. I waited while they got wood for a bonfire. After a few hours, I noticed they were passed out on the ground. I walked up slowly, careful not to wake them. I seen the little boy, the one that made me boil. I grabbed him by the throat, raising him off the ground, whispering to him, "Your death has come, little boy." With fear in his eyes, crying and begging for his life, I threw him in the fire. Morning came when I awoke from the girl screaming. With the smell of the boy's skin being burned and the girl's screams, it only made me feel more alive, wanting more revenge, more power, more bodies. The tough-looking boy finally got a grip on himself after being frozen from fear. He dropped down by holding her tight, saying,
"I'm here, I'm not going anywhere."
With tears in her eyes, she whispered,
"But Jake is dead."
I heard the boy say her name, Chelsea. That's when I realized that girl was my daughter. Why in the world is my little girl with that boy? With furious, heavy breathing, feeling like a failure of a father to once my little princess, my whole world was turned upside down. I couldn't breathe, and before I knew it, I jumped out of the bushes and ran at them. They saw me coming and started running as fast as they could away from me. They ended up running into an abandoned amusement park. I ended up losing them, seeing the rats eating old, rotten food and trash, seeing the old, worn-down and broken rides. I had envisioned putting the boy that was with my daughter in the ride to make him suffer, to put him through pain for stealing my daughter from me. Thinking to myself, When I find the boy, I'm going to strap him down on the coaster, making it fall to his death. I had found the perfect old roller coaster with a broken track. This idea running through my mind only made me more excited. I went looking around, trying to find the roller coaster controlling booth, and went to it while reading the name of the old place. The place said Troutdale Haunted Fun. I stared at it for quite a bit and giggled at the old name. While hearing them talk in the distance, I ran off to hide in the tent, the one at the old circus tent at Little Jack's fun-filled circus. Darren whispered to Chelsea.
Wait to hear that.
Darren said to Chelsea,
Let's split up. That way, we can find something to fight that stupid clown.
I could see the fear in their faces, struggling to try to find something. Still waiting in the tent, I saw Darren was coming closer, like he knew I was there. Once he came closer, I ran at him, and he ended up hitting me in the face with an old iron pipe. Blood started to run down my eyes and face, making it to where I couldn't see out of my left eye. I grabbed him by his shirt collar, stared in his childish, scared-to-death-looking eyes. I knocked him out by slamming my head into his. I threw his limp body over my shoulder, carrying him to the roller coaster. Strapping him down tight so he couldn't escape, I waited till he woke up. I wanted him to be awake to see what his future holds for him. After about what seemed to be about 10 minutes, he finally woke up. He saw me with the controller. He yelled at me from the top of his lungs.
Hey, let me out of here.
With a scary-looking grin on my face, I yelled at him, "No, you're not escaping. Your time to die has come." I flipped the switch to turn the roller coaster on. It slowly started to go up the rail. It got higher and higher. When it reached the top, I could still hear him screaming. The roller coaster raced down at high speed. It went off the broken track. When it crashed to the ground, his neck snapped in two, arms ripped off, laying 3 feet away from the rest of his body. His legs curled around like a pretzel. He was laying in his own pool of blood. As I walked closer to him, I couldn't help but smile. I went looking around for Chelsea. After an hour of searching, I finally found her in a corner crying. I stared at her, knowing she had to see me kill that boy. I knew she was my daughter. I had changed from the loving father she once knew. As I was looking at her, I knocked her out. While dragging her unconscious body and throwing her onto an operating table, I strapped her down tight. While waiting for her to wake up, ideas were running through my head of what to do with her. When she finally woke up, she screamed, while I was turning on the bright lights to shine on her. The story ends with me operating on my own daughter. Bone-chilling screams from her while I was cutting her skin little by little, blood pouring down like a bloody waterfall around my feet. She ended up dying from a horrible death.